Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, November 28th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today. Man, this card, like hotcakes, keeps on coming up in this position. We've had this card coming up, I want to say like at least 3 times in the last week. Death card in its reversal, in combination with our Queen of Wands in its upright. Now, I told you this Mercury retrograde energy, it's like slow it down. Just slow everything down. Just slow it all down. So a little bit of this energy here. And again, this is the type of energy, and I just got to point this out. Sometimes you got to be the energy in the room. Sometimes you got to work with the energy in the room, right? Like a little bit of that is happening here, because being able, and I need to point this out, like that's the beauty of it. The way you can sometimes be the energy in the room is by working with the energy in the room. So a lot of this feeling, and this is why it's also going to have a different impact right now, depending on where you sit astrologically. Like some energy right now, earth sign energy might find this is peaceful, right? There might be a little bit of that feeling of like restiveness right now. While for a more of the expedient energy, right? Like earth and water might be okay with this. A lot of the air and fire sign right now may be feeling a little bit like this is like listless, right? This is too slow. It feels a little bit like that. But again, being able to navigate this, what do we see that happens? It allows, right? Not allowing it to overwhelm you, not allowing you to kind of feel like bogged down on it, allowing that ability of saying, oh good, it's nice I have the time. Like, oh good, it's nice I can have that quiet moment to be able to put one's attention towards creativity, passion, communication, right? I'm getting a lot of this idea of finding the time, if you will, right? So that ability of doing so, that ability of working through that to a certain extent, it feels to me like a lot of this retrograde, everything I keep getting ever since we started reading in this retrograde, is I just keep hearing overcoming obstacles. But that can be frustrating. Why can that be frustrating? Because the first step in overcoming an obstacle is recognizing the energetic obstacle, right? It's feeling it out. It's getting a sense of it. And so we see even now that ability of identifying and recognizing that to a certain degree, this is frustrating, but then it feels empowering, because the obstacle that is recognized is the obstacle that can be overcome, right? So I want you to kind of work through that as you're navigating any of those frustrations that occur right now. Think a lot about utilizing an obstacle towards one's own, like how you can move something in a way that it feels like you're turning the negative into a positive. Now, this is having different impacts right now on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For masculine energy, this is feeling more peaceful. This is feeling more like and this is why, and we were talking about this, that this is frustrating. This is frustrating for masculine a little bit more than feminine right now. Why? Because a lot of that work, like I see even now, a lot of the path work of masculine is working through that facility of letting go, right? Energy of feminine is more in that modality of doing something energetically productive, right? So a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, both masculine and feminine, kind of navigating this particular retrograde in different ways as well. For masculine, like a lot of that path work feels to a high degree like making energetic peace in relationality to what one feels like one can control versus what is outside of one's control. This is always really difficult work, right? There may be a lot of introspection that is occurring right now in that way, right? That ability of changing and the recognition of like what one can change within the self that moves you closer to the self versus what feels I want to say the inviolability point in another's ability to accept what they find within you or what you find within yourself. Like a lot of that work of building into integrity, it can be hard, right? Because when you build from a pathwork of integrity, it's actually interesting because it's not about what you hold on to. It's about what you let go of, right? It's that is what's so beautiful about integrity. Integrity isn't rigid. It's energetically soft because it's in that movement in determining what it is that's important to oneself that you shed the energetic layers of what is unnecessary. And so we see even now for a lot of the masculine energy going through that energetic journey, it's not easy, right? But it's adding meaning. While for feminine energy, that's why I see that for a lot of the feminine energy right now, moving in that modality of feeling energetically strong, coming back into a point of recognizing and identifying one's own energetic integrity. I see that a lot of the feminine energy in this modality, feeling that more as a state or space of like identifying like where they are and who they are to a certain extent. So this feels a bit more empowering for the feminine energy, right? Because this is the feminine energy, like working in that space of taking, and I need to point this out, and this is what's beautiful about that. This is the integrity of masculine that becomes rigid in terms of knowing who they are. And this is the feminine, like the feminine energy, like moving, like becoming more energetically, like alignment with like their energetic actions as it relates to who they are, right? So for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, that feeling of identity is very fundamental right now, right? There's a lot of this work during this retrograde process that is built upon and feeling that sense of the self. And that ability of navigating from those spaces is having a different impact depending on where you find yourself in the frequency cycles. Now, for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, it feels very much like the beauty of energetic counterpart connection. Because remembering that counterparts do not need to kind of always be in the same modality, but that amplification point, right? That feeling of energetic surety to a certain extent, that is the amplification of being able to see the counterpart and almost intuitively know like where they energetically stand or where they like, or where you find them. Like this is like the beauty of, and we were talking about this yesterday, the difference between presumption and assumption, right? Assumption is something that you need to be wary of during retrograde cycles, right? The assumption wants to beg that the past is repeating. Presumption is beautiful because it's pre-intuitive, because presumption is coming into that space of knowing someone enough that you almost don't need to reach out, like you don't need to reach forward towards them because you already know where they energetically stand upon something. So there's a lot of this, there's a lot of that energy here that we see is occurring within divine union. And it feels like this is how the counterparts are giving one another energetic strength during this time. For masculine, a lot of that feeling of security feels restive. For feminine, a lot of that feels much more energetically actionable. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union during this time, I see that a lot of that energy coming into divine union is finding themselves on the pathwork of coming into divine union, specifically from the way we articulated and explained in our recap of what we saw in the reading yesterday, which is what did we see in the reading yesterday? We saw that a lot of that energy coming into divine union is doing so because a lot of the work like that was occurring over the last few weeks was recognizing the density, recognizing the energetic integrity of a partnership. I accepting what something means to someone, right? Feeling the intensity of the energetic connection, weighing that energetic value, feeling that energetic weight. And so we see even now, if these are the energies that have come into that spot of articulating and communicating what that density and weight is, a lot of this energy here, and remember what I said, wait till I show you these cards, because this is what we were talking about around the happy medium, right? We were speaking over the last few days about what do you do with something precious. Masculine, feeling that maturation point, now wanting to rush a process, saying like, when I have something precious, I want to move very swiftly. What does feminine do when feminine feels that space of preciousness? Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Feminine wants to slow down. Feminine doesn't want to rush things. Feminine wants to take it nice and steady. What are these energies doing right now as they come into divine union? Do you see what they're doing? They're learning how to embody the oppositional force of the counterpart. So what's masculine doing? Masculine, who wants to rush the process, is learning to move more slowly, right? Death card in its reversal. Feminine, coming into connection with masculine, is moving more quickly, taking more of that activation point. Why are these each energies giving each other the grace of moving oppositional to how they feel? Because it doesn't move them further away from one another. They're enhancing their own energetic lessons in the process. That is what happens when we move into that prioritization point. That doesn't move us further upon our path work, but challenges us, right? That challenges us. It's not easy. It's heavy lifting. It's heavy lifting because the ego is like straining under the weight to a certain extent. But these are the energies that are not like they're shedding the part of the egoic self that doesn't feel necessary, and they're finding themselves along the way. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now, a lot of this energy that's in separation is having a lot of these energetic breakthroughs to a certain extent. And it's hard, right? It's heavy. But this is the energy that is recognizing and identifying what is the energy in separation doing right now that's enhancing their own experience as they move forward into a space of healing. They're identifying and recognizing what is within the self to change versus what is outside of the self to accept. That is having a different impact right now in how it feels for masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine energy, this is a bit of that modality of recognizing, like, this is how we heal. You know, that sense or that space of navigating the difference between, like, what one can change versus what would move off one's own integrity to change. I almost see a lot of this energy of masculine right now building into connection with feminine by articulating and expressing and saying, you know, I could have energetically fixed something, but I would have moved too far off my own pathwork in the process. You know, when we say I would do anything for love, but I won't do that, that's like what we mean by that. That sense of saying, my love for you is protected by my own energetic integrity. The way I feel about the past is such that I would not move off of my own alignment in order to work towards it, because something that is for me would not require me to move away from my integrity in the process of moving towards it. That's heavy, right? That's heavy energy for masculine, because I see a lot of the healed masculine right now in separation saying to themselves, I know someone else might not see it that way. But when we're moving with an energetic integrity, we don't say, I don't move in a way for others to perceive. I move in a way that I understand and know what is energetically best for myself, and not only for myself, but for those around me, right? That's a heavy energetic lesson that we see that a lot of the masculine energy is bringing to the table at this time in separation. While for feminine energy, we see that a lot of the feminine energy at this time is in that modality of speaking towards adaptability, right? This is more of the feminine energy communicating to masculine in separation, saying, I'm a Swiss Army knife. Like, this is the feminine energy going, like, I'm like a Swiss Army knife. Like, what do you need? I can be changeable. I have a lot of facets, but my gift is moving. Like, my gift of being able to be adaptable needs to be recognized as a gift, not an assumption. Right? That is the adaptability. The feminine says that ability of being energetically adaptable is the gift that they bring forward, because that is the difference, right, between standing in a point of integrity, recognizing who one's own self is, versus what others desire from you, right? And that is the energy saying, before I give someone the gift of being adaptable, they must first appreciate who I am integrally. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here, look at this, we've got our Queen of Cups in its upright. Now this is beautiful. We've got a lot of peaceful energy right now here. Masculine and feminine in separation. A lot of this work that we're perceiving, and I want to stress this, I see a lot of this feminine energy right now in that space or place of healing in separation. And I just keep hearing, I'm at peace. I've made peace. I'm at peace, right? A lot of that work that we're effectively seeing here. For feminine, I even see this is feminine building into those connectivity points with other feminine energy. Bearing in mind, again, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because this is the energy that looks towards those around them and says the gift that we give each other is peace, right? Like that is how we communicate love. Like, what is love if not the wishing of peace upon someone energetically, right? So we see even now, I see a lot of the feminine energy in that modality of even looking back in past situations. Like, I see some feminine energy looking back and being like, that past situation. And this is how, this is what's really beautiful about the feminine energy right now. When I see the feminine energy making energetic peace with their past, this is the feminine energy almost looking back and saying, it's not that I was perfect in that past. If anything, that's why we see that so much of that feminine is becoming a little bit more energetically rigid right now, right? Because this is the feminine that's looking back on the past version of self to a certain extent and potentially saying the circumstance, the difficulty of the feminine is the feminine saying, when I don't love myself, when I don't create that sense of appreciating who I am or what I am, then I become too much at the service of what others' expectations are. Right? That sense of trying to become what another desires us to be, we will often lose ourselves along the way. So this is a lot of the feminine energy in separation, healing via that space of coming to love one's own energetic nature. And that isn't the feminine energy becoming obsessed with the self. You recognize that. This isn't the feminine energy being like, I am obsessed with myself. No, this is the feminine energy saying, my feelings are energetically valid. I feel the security and stability of understanding that if my feelings move someone, with the authenticity of my emotions, move someone away from me, that does not require me to be accommodating for the fear of creating something that is upsetting in them. That's the feminine saying that emotions, like authentic emotions, protect us for what is not for us. Right? So this is the feminine almost giving their emotions a hug and saying, I love you. I love you because you protect me from that that is not for me. Right? Because that is the energy that of the feminine that's not trying to say like, so as a result, I'm just going to be like a total like emotional person, like mess to everyone around me. That's a feminine saying, my feelings are energetically valid and they're beautiful. And as long as I'm articulating and expressing them and not hiding them, as long as I'm not trying to injure another with them, As long as I'm not trying to use them as a weapon, if that moves someone away from me, then that is an energetic blessing. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating in that space, building into the context of masculine that is saying to feminine at the same time, the healed masculine energy that's like shaking their head and saying, your feelings are not a burden for someone that can carry the weight of your emotions. And why is the masculine energy saying that to feminine in separation? Because this is the masculine energy that is coming to learn how to hug their own emotions in the process. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy going, I didn't expect it to feel this way. I didn't expect it to feel this way. Because this isn't that sense of being like, oh, it was great, I just found the perfect counterpart, and then everything I ever wanted was exactly how I wanted it all the time. It was really cool. It was amazing. It's almost like there's no one else there. Like it's like, no, like this is the energy that recognizes that the beauty of coming into a partnership with someone is what you create, that is the alchemy of your choices and their choices. And that means you have to move the ego aside to a certain extent. Accommodation is the celebration of a healthy partnership. And it's not necessarily always easy, but this is the energy that is learning to recognize, and I want to point this out, the very important metric, right? The very important metric between something in the counterpart that is adaptable versus something that is integral, right? This is how we come to know one another. The difference between what feels like it's not a big deal versus what is fundamental to the self, right? That and that ability, this is how we love one another. Because when we truly love one another, we don't try to move ourselves off of our own energetic pathwork of integrity, right? While for Matt, and so we see even now like a little bit of that. I keep hearing for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, I just keep hearing like it's like the layers of an onion. The ego is getting shed along the way. But this isn't the dissolution of the self in the process. This isn't like pulling back until there's nothing left. This is the energy that feels like they're removing the garments, the unnecessary garments that are not of the self, that reveal the true inner nature of the person that is within, via the energetic connection that is in alignment. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union right now, this is a deeper exploration in that modality. This is like diving bell energy. This is going deeper within, right? That ability of when we build into that pathwork of intimacy, we don't necessarily know. I see a lot of energy going, I've never built a connection with someone like this. I don't know what's deep. Like, I don't know. I can plumb the depths of the self in the process, because that is the energy that feels the stability and security of feeling feeling that sense of, I want to say, like when we feel safe, when we feel energetically supported, it allows us to move into spaces of exploration of the self that may not necessarily have felt like those difficult things, those difficult experiences, that energetic unpacking, if you will. So I just see a lot of that deepening of intimacy here for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. And it's hard work. I see it even now. Because like a lot of it feels like that, like exploration and articulation into love. Second two cards in our 5-card spread before we start getting clarity on these cards. This is beautiful. Oh, you see? Keeps on coming up like hotcakes too. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about a little bit of this hermit energy. We saw it coming through the reading. Was it yesterday? I believe we had the hermit card up. Yes. Yeah. If it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. Now, there is something that's very important here that we're seeing. Masculine and feminine energy. That introspection, right? We don't lose solitude when we're deep within a divine union partnership. There's a solitude of the self that we build into, right? That's the ability of recognizing and identifying the peace that we feel within via the energetic support that we feel without, right? Like a lot of that difference, right? A lot of that, let's talk about the difference. What is the difference between solitude and loneliness? Solitude and loneliness, the difference is feeling alone, right? And a lot of that work, that the reason that energy that navigates solitude, why it must be learned to a certain extent, is that modality or that experience where you suddenly feel that sense of being alone, but you don't feel alone. You feel the energetic presence around you. You feel life around you. Like that's the energy that'll say, I like solitude, but I'm not lonely. Because this is the energy that feels the beauty of being within one's own energetic force. So we see even now that there's almost a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now that's plumbing the depths. I told you, this is the diving bell. I literally said diving bell. And we've got here the chalice and the hermit. So this is like the deeper exploration of the self via the gravity of being in an energetic partnership that allows for that deeper sense of emotional stability via navigating what may have been uncomfortable to navigate prior to that moment. There's like a lot of unpacking here. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this energy that I see that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's like, oh, I didn't expect it to feel this way. I feel like there's a lot of energy that thought that they were going to have to leave like solitude behind in order to build into an energetic connection, and instead they're learning of a new form of solitude, right? Like they're learning of a new, like they're reshaping their own energetic feeling of peace and solitude, because they're forming it into an energetic connection wherein they're letting someone in where they haven't let someone in before. You know, I feel like someone's like showing them rooms of the self and being like, nobody comes in here. like now but in that space, right? Like in that space, there's something really beautiful there. Right? Because that's, that is the navigation point of energetic intimacy, is that ability of deepening into something to a certain extent. Now for masculine and feminine energy, that is in separation right now, there's a lot of contemplation is what I'm seeing in separation right now. A lot, and I gotta say a lot, like it's different, it's hitting different for masculine and feminine. Again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine energy, I see, the thing is, I see a lot of the masculine energy confronting the ego. And I'm gonna say this again right now, masculine energy, like, it's okay. Like, this is how we heal the inner child, because that space of looking at the ego and being like, dude, you're supposed to protect me. Like, you're supposed to be a shield. You created a wall. Nobody can get through you. You know what I mean? Like that space, like, the overgrown, like that's what happens sometimes. We have those moments and we're like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like it feels a lot like that space of masculine, like working, like the energy of the healed masculine is one that's like dismantling their own energetic ego. And I need to stress this isn't you understand, this isn't a weakening process for masculine. This is masculine saying, I've walled myself in. Like I've walled myself in my own self, because if I let the ego get too big, it's not like a fun, like, like cap shield. It's a wall. It's a fortification. It's a fortress. Nobody can see me behind here, right? The inner self is like, help. It's like asking people to scale the ramparts, Well, for feminine, and this is why the masculine may be looking back and being like, yeah, this is bad. Like I used to live behind this like huge wall. I created it with myself, like my personality. I'm sorry. But that's beautiful. Like if you're doing that work and you're like taking it down brick by brick, this is a masculine saying, be patient with me. We're in the middle of a construction process, right? While for feminine energy, this is a lot of the feminine energy looking back at the past version of self and having notes, but almost, and again, a state of compassion. This is feminine healing the inner child and saying that she was too adaptable. She was great. She was fun. She was fun. But that wasn't me. That was the energy, like that, like, like that energy of being like, that sense of like knowing the self versus being in that space of adaptability. I see a lot of this energy of the feminine, like comparatively looking and speaking toward, like, and I want to say that this is how the energy of the feminine is holding love for themselves in the process of being like, I loved her too. You know what I mean? Like, then there's something very beautiful about that energetic journey. Now, continuing to get clarification between death card and its reversal. And the funny part is with feminine, like, look at this feminine. This is feminine saying she's still there, right? This is the feminine energy saying she's still there, but she's within now. Like, that is the gift I bring forward, right? Now, continuing to get clarification between our death card in its reversal and our Queen of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification, look. I like this. This is good energy in separation. It is what it is, right? I'm like experiencing a closure comes in many forms. And I see even now a lot of this energy in a space and separation saying, I'm not looking for energetic closure. Boom. I don't need energetic closure. Why? Because there's some energy right now that's looking back on the past and saying, why do I want to close something that I've learned from? Right? Why? Like, that is not a closed book. That's a chapter. Right? And it's in that moment that someone says, I don't need closure because I'm here now. That's all a part of my energetic story. Like, that modality of doing so, that's how we build into that pathwork of appreciation. Right? Because there's a lot of energy right now that is having that modality of saying, I know where the past was, but I don't know what the future holds. Right? And that modality or that ability of navigating from a space of hope, that possibility, I'm seeing like the profound beauty of possibility in what the future holds, the surprises along the way. I see that that's like a lot of this energy that is like, almost leading forth towards one another in the process. And what I like about seeing this for the energy in separation right now is this is the energy in separation that's basically saying, I'm not trying to find something by moving off of my pathwork. I'm trying to find those that are walking in the same direction as I am. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, like, class just started is what I'm getting. Class just started, and I feel like it's a little bit of an abrupt departure from what one may have expected something to be. Because especially and particularly, if these were energies that were like, yeah, I just thought once you came in union with someone, that was it. Like, and like every story ends there, and then it's done. This is the energy being like, that wasn't the end of the energetic story. That was just the beginning. That was the first book in the series. that was the first book in the series. Like, there's another 12 books. Like, and I just see even now, like, it's like that, a lot of that energy being like, having that moment and like going like, wow, I really thought that was just going to be like the end of the energetic fun. This is the energy being like, I haven't even learned anything yet, right? Because these are the energies that are learning things in the process of coming into partnership with one another. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union right now, a lot of that energy deep within divine union, this is energy too, like going through that process of deeper exploration. But that's not so much the forward, that's an inward, right? That's an inward journey right now. There's a lot of that contemplation occurring within the self, and a lot of that has to do with looking back at the past with the optics of the present. You'll remember we saw this a few days ago with the energy and separation. These lessons move up and down the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Wands in its upright and our Queen of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Swords in its upright. Okay. So here we go. We got more of that. So again, it is the retrograde. So it's like, it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating. It's, let's just be honest, like the retrograde can sometimes be frustrating stuff, right? It sometimes feels like everything can be a little bit harder, right? Navigating through energetic frustration, the similarity of feeling things that may energetically frustrate you, right? Like working through some of those energetic frustrations to a certain degree. But what's important and what is valuable here, particularly for the energy deep within divine union, I mean, across all of the frequencies, is having a different impact depending on where we find ourselves. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, and this is literally what I was talking about. This is literally what I was talking about the other day when we were getting more of that sense of like holding the tea of the counterpart, which is like working through that facility, like the faculty that when you're moving with a pathwork of purpose, you don't necessarily have time to take things energetically personally. So this is more of that like scorpionic tail coming back that we just departed from. Because remember, I told you it's like the echo effect of the energy leaving, which is the energy being like someone being like, I'm not taking something personally. And then like the little side person on the counterpart being like, but I did. like a little bit of that like energy here is what we're seeing that's occurring deep within divine union. But it's also, I have to stress this. This is the beauty of the energetic connection. These are energies that are so deeply invested in the connection that the egoic self rises to the challenge, not for the sake of the self, but for the sake of the energetic counterpart. So we almost see even here, like a little bit of that feel like the reason a lot of this energy right now can plumb deeper is because they feel that sense of assurance, of energetic sense of the support that we have in a healthy connection, where we know that someone has our energetic back, right? Or that sense or that space of and this is where we have to be conscientious. This is going to be my little PSA. This is going to be my little PSA for anyone like building forward through this right now. I don't want you doing anything salty to anyone else, and I don't want you doing anything salty for your counterpart either. You heard me right now, okay? No. Just behave is all I'm saying, okay? Because we see even now, like this is like I told you, it's like a little bit of navigating that frustration is like this can sometimes feel energetically challenging, particularly and especially if there's something here that feels volatile. But the difficulty here is the volatility directed towards counterpart that feels more energetically challenging right now for counterpart, for those deep within divine union. So again, I'm just going to say this for anyone deep within divine union. Path of peace counts in relationality to like your counterpart too. Okay, behave yourselves. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the energy feeling the flare up of the egoic self. This is the energy feeling that sense, that sting, if you will, right? Like when you're working through, it's not easy. Right? When you're building into an authentic connection, when you're really trying to come into that space, it's like a happy medium to a certain extent requires a little bit of cutting away at the ego in the process. So like working through that to a certain extent, feeling those moments, right? And this is the difference, right? This is the difference between, and I need to stress this again, this isn't the shedding of the egoic self that makes you feel like you're moving further away from one's own self. Being like, boop, 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 I am so off my pathwork right now. This is that moment of being like, that sense or space of recognizing what feels like it's important versus something that you may have previously, and this is the beauty of the retrograde, being like, the past version of myself, like of the self, would have obsessed over something. But what you obsess about is subjective to what you're prioritizing. So we see even now, like a lot of that prioritization point is allowing energetically the ability to be more adaptable, because you're looking and you're almost looking at the past version of self and being like, that sting is not the sting of the self now. It's a recognition of the past version and how much more they would have been severe over the self about something, While for masculine, perservated, is that the word? While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing to a certain extent, a lot of this work that we're identifying has to do energetically with the appreciation of the past, right? But and when I say appreciation, it doesn't mean appreciation. I don't mean appreciation in the sense of saying like I'm very happy with everything that happened in the past, right? But that ability of feeling like recognizing, like they're saying even now, like recognizing what one is mad about, like mad at oneself for, right? Versus like what one is frustrated with that was outside of one's own ability to control. It's like it's bittersweet to a certain extent, right? And it's having a different impact on masculine and feminine. For masculine, I'm going to say it again, not being too hard on oneself. If you feel like you're looking at a past version of self and you feel like the egoic nature moved you further away from something that you desired to move towards. For feminine, not getting mad at yourself if you feel like you were too energetically adaptable in the past to such an extent that someone just took it as a, they took it at part and parcel as to who you were instead of appreciating it as the gift that it is. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Cups in combination with our Ace of Cups in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Pentacles. This is nice. We've got double ace cards here. Double ace cards. Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles. A lot of this, especially for energy and separation right now, a lot of this presence, a lot of this like, and I need to point this out. This is why we do so much work on the self in the present. Because when we're building into that pathwork of appreciation for where we are in the present, we don't want to divorce ourselves from the past, right? It doesn't make everything okay. It's not like you look back and go, great, I'm so glad all those awful things happened, right? But you make energetic peace with it, right? Because you feel that sense of stability in the present context. And you say, I've made peace with the things that have occurred up until this moment. Because I cannot change the past. I do not know what the future holds, which means the future holds endless possibility. And I'm not going to live within either of those spaces. Like, this is what the Mercury retrograde does. Like, the Mercury retrograde is like, here comes the past. But then you just kind of sit there. And when you're in that space of being grounded in the present, when the past goes, here comes the past, it's like, what are you doing here? What do you mean? You feel like it changes the energetic context to a certain extent, right? So in a way, like there's a lot of this work that is like built upon or based upon that feeling of energetic presence. And a lot of that I see even now is very fundamental because there's a lot of that feeling, as it were, of grounding, especially for energy and separation in terms of, I keep hearing, making peace with the past. And that doesn't mean pretending that everything was okay, but making peace with it via the feeling of the energetic appreciation of where you find yourself today. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's just literally reprioritizing. And there's a lot of this energy right now that's either saying, I didn't expect it to feel this way, or I can't believe what I used to prioritize. Like, I think for feminine, I see feminine almost being like, I didn't expect it to feel this way. And masculine being like, I can't believe what I used to prioritize over this, right? While for masculine and feminine energy coming deep within divine union, this is more of that diving bell energy, right? Because this is that feeling of the gravity, the gravity that feels grounding, that allows for that ability to like go deeper under the conscious surface of the self, like that exploration into the unconscious space via like you can't go deeper into water if the water above is too rough, right? You can't go deeper into water if the water above is too rough. You need to create the energetic like point. And so I see even now, like there's a lot of that energy here that's navigating something in a different way because of the energetic piece that is surrounding them during that moment. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Cups in combination with our Hermit card. and there's that hermit energy. This I'm telling you even now, this hermit energy for some right now, I'm gonna give you compassion if you're feeling this, because some of this hermit energy, it can sometimes feel like scratchy sweater. You know, if you're not comfortable with it, like I told you, not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It's scratchy. Hermit energy can feel either like the coziest thing ever, or it feels like the scratchiest sweater. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's an acquired taste. And so even here, that feeling like on the fringes of uncomfortability. I don't know why I'm hearing Capricorn to a certain degree here. You know, there's something important to be noted about like that, like there's a lot of energy. I want to point this out. There's a lot of energy doing deeper exploration on something that they can't put their finger on. Right? And that's not like I see, like this is why the energy, like this is like diving for pearls energy. This is trying to find the words energy. This is like plumbing the depths energy. Right? When we can't, like, and again, well, and this is why it's important, because when we feel frustrated and we're having a hard time articulating our frustration, if instead we become introspective, we find the words. So I see even now that there's a lot of energy deep within divine union trying to find the words around something that is energetically uncomfortable to help articulate and amplify a positive, like taking a negative and turning it into a positive, right? Trying to articulate upon a discomfiture. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, I'm seeing that for a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now, this is more of that energy being like, this feels uncomfortable. I don't like this. It's like, this is the ego going, I don't like this. Right? Like when we're healing the wounds of the ego, like that ego can flare up. The ego's like, I want to be in charge. No, I get to decide what everything's going to be like. Like, you know, the ego sometimes wants to act like a little demanding child. And it's that moment that we have that confrontation with it and being like, well, are you valid in that? Or are you just being like we have, you know, when you have a healed ego, it doesn't require you to shed it. You just got to talk to it. You got to be like, are you in a space like, does that feel valid how you feel, or are you just being an angry toddler? You know, like, and I see even now, like you see this, like the energy coming into divine union. It's going through that modality in some of that discomfort. And that's what I told you. What do we do when we build a healthy connection? It's not that our feelings aren't valid, but we interrogate our feelings. We look at our feelings and say, are you feeling like that because something is important? Or are you feeling like that because it's just not the way you like it? Right? Like, are you feeling like that because it's fundamental? Or are you feeling like that because it's different than you energetically expected? Right? You do a little bit of that, you know, I see even now, like there's a little bit of that energy doing ping pong with themselves that they used to do with others, because that's when we figure out what feels like it is something valid to articulate. There's a lot of healing that's happening of the egoic self right now for energy coming into divine union. It's hard work. But I can see the energy being like, this sucks, but it's awesome. While for masculine and feminine in separation, I see even now this is energy that is getting more comfortable, creating discomfort in new energetic connections. This is not energy building into, these are not new partnerships that are built upon people pleasing. This is not energy. And I need to also point out, this is also not energy being like, I'm going to be my authentic self regardless. Like, no, like it's coming into that sweet point of navigating. It's like, I'm just getting, I am cringe, but I am, I did not, this is not my, I am cringe, but I am free, right? Which is like, if my cringe is too cringy for you, then you are not the cringe that I am seeking, because we are all cringe in one way or another. We are all unique cringes, and we find the cringe that adores our cringe. And we love the people we love because of their cringe. We love them more when they are cringe, like when they make us cringe. So we see I see a lot of this energy right now in separation, being like, I am cringe, but I am free. Continuing to get clarification between our Fool card and the Knight of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Temperance and the Reversal. All right, we got everybody. I want everybody, look, nobody's allowed to pop off today. All right? When nobody is allowed to pop off today. Because I see even now, like the ability to want to pop off, I gotta stress here, there's like a little bit on the outskirts of the reading. It's on the outskirts, because we got the like, I don't like these two cards together. Temperance card, Knight of Swords, begging for reaction here, like, we got a little bit of this energy here, Hermit card, Page of Wands. Listen, inside voices today. Keep it inside. If it's not helpful, I don't want it coming out of your face. Okay? Think. Don't just act, think. Keep it, tell, like, write it in a book. Put it, I know you got a witty comeback. I know. You could nail, like, if someone, like, you could nail it to the wall. I know you could nail it to the wall. I trust it. Like, look at me. You can give it to me right now. You can just sit there. Whatever you're going to say to them, just say it to me instead. That was amazing. Wow. Yes, you would have blown them away. Don't do that. I want you to stay, like, I don't want you to go to jail today. Okay? Please. As I'm like choking. Please, like, just don't. Because even here, and this is what I meant about some of this, like, wound cleansing that I'm seeing that's happening right now in separation. Because sometimes when we heal, we get mad. Like, being mad is not a sign of not healing. Right? Like, something, it's especially if you're healing from something that was requiring you to disassociate. It's like, if your feelings are coming back online, congratulations. But moving something into a space, and I can see even now a lot of that energy navigating in a space or place of feeling like the ability, like when you come into alignment, being able to share energetic frustration with someone, right? Being able to share energetic frustration with someone, it's like it immediately feels like a relief, right? It feels like a kind of a relief. It feels like a release because it's someone saying your emotions are valid. Your feelings are valid. I feel like that too. And sometimes that's all we need, right? Sometimes that's all we need. And that's when we find alignment. When we find someone says, I would be upset about that too, right? And that moment, like creating that sense of feeling the valuation. And I see even now for masculine and feminine, there's something very restorative that's happening right now in the connections that are forming. Because I see masculine kind of moving their ego aside and building into that space of having these deep, intimate conversations with feminine. And almost like looking at the past version of self and being like, I could never have talked like this before because like that wall I built, like, poof, like I was trapped behind it. I was just letting myself fester and brew underneath that, While for feminine, that ability of being able to be in a space of authenticity and finding masculine that says, not only do I not run from that, but I can see a lot of this feminine building healthy energetic connections with masculine that's healed, that says like, my emotions aren't a burden. And because I've done the work to know that my emotions aren't a burden, I can hold space for yours and I don't take them personally. Like that is the lotus. Like that is the blooming moment wherein we see that expression of emotionality becomes the energetic celebration. While for masculine, but again, don't let yourself get triggered today. While for masculine and feminine, don't let yourself get triggered by for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. I just see that a lot of this work right now, it's hard because it's poking at your ego every step of the way. This is a bunch of the energy coming into divine union. The ego's going, I don't like this. I don't like this. This sucks. this sucks. I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, and what is this energy? What is this energy doing to the ego? The ego's taking a back seat. The ego is in the toddler seat in the back of the car. The ego is sitting there in the toddler seat, like shaking a rattle, going, this sucks. When are we going to get there? And the self is going, will you just shut up? Like, we're going exactly in the direction we want. I'm sorry if we're not stopping I'm sorry we're not going to stop at the like the amusement park that you want. Like it's a little bit of that, right? It's a little bit of that energy of being like, like working to pacify the energetic ego. But even in that moment, like feeling that sense of celebration, because when we can look at something and say, that's not integral to me, that's just my ego, like it's not forcing you to like throw you need the ego, but like, you gotta sometimes you gotta tell the ego, chill, man, just chill out, Well, for a lot of this energy, and again, a lot of this energy, same message for the energy deep within divine union right now, but it's more just that sensor space of and this is what we like to see, the energy in separation and the energy within divine union are in kind of the same space. If something comes up in that exploration of the past that triggers you, like don't get triggered by, like, it just, just let it, like, just breathe it out, continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Swords and our Ace of Pentacles in its upright. Look at that Path of Peace. Look at the Path of Peace here. I like this because this is the airing of grievances, right? This is the energetic airing of grievances. This would be like, I could. And this is for the energy deep within divine union, be like, I could, and being like, I know you could. I'm not, but I could. Like, I mean, I think that's the beauty here, because I see even now, like, do you see the beauty of the counterparts are such that is like, like I see like the energetic counterpart being like, I'm going to go commit a crime. And the partner and the energetic counterpart being like, no, because these are the energies that act protective for one another along the way, right? Like that's that sense. Well, for the energy right now coming into divine union, that same issue, like that same circumstance is happening, but it's between the egoic self and the self that is learning to heal. Right? So like the egoic nature is like, I don't like, look at this. I don't like this. And this is the energy coming into divine union, looking at the ego going, I don't like this, and going, do you not like it? Do you not like it because it's moving you away from what you want? Or do you not like it because it's not happening the way exactly that you desire to be? Right? Because that's the thing with the ego. The ego can be super picky. Right? There's it can be very it's not being like, it's like that. But when you're picky, like I need to point this out, when you're picky, you leave out the beauty of possibility, right? When you're energetically picky, you leave out the beauty of what could be. When you demand the thing you want, you close off the ability of what could be possible. So I see even now a lot of that prioritization point is building into that sense of prioritization, wherein the possibility of what you're creating allows for that adaptability because it becomes a playground, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Pentacles and our Page of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our King of Cups in its upright. Love to see this energy here. Now, I want to point this out because this is really important. These are a lot of conversations within the self that are happening right now. Why do I say that? And also with those around us. Why do I say that? Because we've got combined forces here. Double feminine, both positive. Queen of Wands in its upright. Queen of Cups. Emotions and creativity merging, right? So this is feminine energy, working through passion into emotions and passions merging. Masculine, double cup energy. So masculine, taking any kind of volatility feelings, channeling them through into what feels productive. So masculine and feminine energy right now in a heavy degree of alignment. And a lot of that alignment is articulated and amplified in taking the negative. Like when you get negative, what do you create more negative, or do you move it into a positive? Ugh, I hate that. I'm not gonna create more of what I hate. Not gonna create more of what I hate. Not gonna create more of what I hate. I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna move it into something positive. Like too much salt in the soup. Adding more salt, if there's too much salt in the soup, adding more salt is not gonna fix it. Right? You gotta add something else. You gotta do something else with it, right? Okay, we can fix it. You gotta pour more, you gotta pour more of the good on it. You gotta pour more of the good on the salt. You don't add more salt to fix too much salt, right? Well, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's like promise. I keep hearing energy being like, promise me, like, promise me. And the funny thing about the promise me is I see that for the energy coming into divine union, I hear someone externally saying, promise me, but also someone saying it internally to the ego going, promise me, like, promise me you'll behave. And someone being like, promise me you'll behave. Like the energy immediately taking that and then bringing it to the ego, being like, I'll tell the ego to behave. I'll do my best. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation, I just see that there's a lot of this energy in separation right now that is like building into that space of, I want to say, like, there's peace here. And there's a lot of that energy even now that is like building upon that feeling or that space. Like, and I need to stress this, like there's some massive new partner, like new energetic, there's new energetic connections that are forming right now that are coming from a place of like profound I keep on saying this, but it's because I just keep saying profound authenticity. And that's not the I need to stress, I don't mean that's the authenticity of being like, I suck, and you just got to accept the fact I suck. And if you think that me sucking bothers you, then I'm going to suck more. Not like that. Not like that. It's the energy that says, I know myself. I know what's within my power to change, and I know the parts of myself that are integral to the self. And if there's parts of my integral nature that do not move in accordance with you, then that's okay too. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. If I'm not everybody's cup of tea, it's because I'm a specialty, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Temperance card in its reversal and our Knight of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Justice card. Look at that. Look at that. Just taking the negative and turning it into the positive. I want you to listen to me right now. Put your listening ears on, okay? Because this is right here. There's a Libra message coming through here. This is a strong Libra message. So I'm not sure where the Libra is right now, but listen, okay? Just because you have a right to doesn't mean it's right. I know you didn't like hearing that. Just because you have a right to doesn't mean it's right. Okay? Just because you have, I'm going to keep saying this because this is what everybody across the frequencies needs to hear right now. Just because you have a right to doesn't mean it's right. Okay? I don't care who started it. Okay? Like, remember that today. Don't be energetically triggered. Move in accordance with what you know to be energetically right, not what someone is triggering within you. The ego is like, look, I told you like this, and look at these four cards together. This is the same message. We've got the Knight of Swords, above the Knight of Cups, the Temperance card. Do you see how these, like, look at the flow state here? I have a right to, I should, I'm not gonna, I create balance. You know, it's a little bit, it's like that. Okay, you see the transition? This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna feel it, you're gonna be like, oh, and then you're gonna go, no, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to count to 4 today. Okay? Like, feel it, take a breath, breathe out, you're back at your back, and we're back, okay? And that's happening across all of the frequencies. Like, that's just the message there. Just piece it out. Path of peace. Continuing clarification here between our Knight of Cups and our King of Cups in its upright. Beautiful energy here. Beautiful energy. These cards we're ending on right now, I like them a lot. Clarification. Oh, sweet. Chef's kiss. Look at this. That's how we create peace. We don't find peace. Listen to me. Listen to me. We don't find peace. We create peace. You don't say, I came here looking for peace. I'm really upset. This is not the peace I was looking for. We have to create it. We create peace with our own hands. Sometimes it sucks. You got to get your hands dirty, right? But build into that context of thinking about the ability of don't look for peace, create peace. All right? And for masculine energy right now, it's going to be a little bit difficult because it does feel like there's something about navigating things that provocate the ego, like the ego that wants to like step in and like be like, I could, and being like, right? For a lot of this energy, or even potentially for the energy deep within divine union, almost building into that, not even for the self, but in the context of the counterpart, right? Feminine doing a lot of that same work as well. But that ability of creating and feeling that sense of energetic peace, like that's what is the sustainable vector today. Well, final card for today's spread between our Justice card in combination with our Four of Wands in its upright. I like these two cards. Final card today, Star card in its reversal. Now, this is going to have a different impact because this is, do you see this? This is the same energy that we were recognizing and identifying, right? That was occurring. Like, do you see here? Like, this is the and this is the feminine and masculine kind of going through the same thing to a certain extent. For the masculine, a lot of this is that feeling of not kind of like rising to the energetic challenge to a certain extent, right? For feminine, this is the feminine kind of navigating or feeling that same sense, but it doesn't necessarily feel like the feminine coming into that space of being like more more activating on it. It's the feminine not coming into that space of feeling overly energetically wounded, right? Like not taking something personally, not allowing something to feel like it was like in that work. So for feminine today, this may feel more like the work of having tough skin, like requiring tough skin. While for masculine, it may be more of that feeling of like, you know, like someone trying to like say like you need to have a tougher skin and being energetically peaceful, right? So we see even now, this is why this is so like, why it feels like it's so energetically challenging, because both of these energies are working through that challenge point, but in different ways. The same work of like the retrograde. So remember, path of peace today, you know? Final card for today's spread, Page of Swords. Like that's the thing. It's a lot of poking, you know, and that's the thing. I like to point out, I'm going to be like your little cosmic mom today. Okay. If someone's poking you, think about what they want to get out of it. If someone's poking you, think about what they want to get out of it. You know, if someone's provoking you, don't give them the luxury. Don't give them the luxury of responding to an energetic provocation. You know, recognize and identify something for what it is. You know, and I know it's frustrating, you know, because it's a little bit of that, like, what are you, chicken? What are you? Oh, you're a chicken. Are you a chicken? You can't, you know, like, come on. Like, don't be silly. You know, think more about, don't let someone move you off of your intention with their own feeling of like provocation today. And again, this is something that we often feel within the retrograde, being able to navigate that to a certain extent. And that doesn't mean, we're going to say this again, that doesn't mean that you can't have an ego, right? An ego is not something that you have to run from. And a healthy ego is a very valuable thing, because a healthy ego reminds you about the difference. How do you recognize if your ego is operating well? Is the ego activated when something is of importance to you, right? Is it activated when something is of importance to you, or is it flaring up over something that feels like it's really not a big deal? You know, like let that, like talk to your ego today. Call your ego today and be like, if something's bothering you, be like, why? Tell me why it bothers you. Walk me through it. And if you get a reasonable explanation, say that. Okay. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. Also, a couple of updates before we move into our personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who attended our recent class on the Chariot card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with an exploration into the Strength card. If you would like to become a part of our live class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each month. You will also have access to our Tarot Church Library, which is the full resource of materials and classwork that we have studied thus far. You don't need to catch up for each class. I will be giving a recap in each and every class to the best of my abilities, but there's about 8 hours worth of material that you will also receive with that subscription when you subscribe. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far or are currently learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in those classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there regardless of your level. Also, if you are a subscriber here on my TikTok, I would encourage you to head over to your subscriber-only Discord channel that you have access to as a gift for being a subscriber. There you will find a special coupon code that will give you an additional discount on that Substack subscription. Even if you don't become a subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there, because there you will find I post the everyday spread as a podcast along with a photo of the spread if you'd like to see the full cards. You'll also have access to my newsletter, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online weekly live schedule. You'll also have access to our giveaway information. And speaking about giveaway informations, have you signed up for our November giveaway yet? It's almost over. You only got a couple days left. If you would like to potentially win a free private tarot reading with me, simply head over to the link tree in my bio. There you will find a 2-minute travel survey. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway, but if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, I'll be giving a reading not only to the person that wins, but also to the person who referred them. So thank you so much if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for those students interested in having a more personalized one-on-one educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. Each of those classes is personalized to your own personal growth goals and spiritual development, and they can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series that is 4 45-minute classes, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your own personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again